From kicking out cast members for being sick, to all the shows that far surpass it, these are Blue Blood's most controversial moments. For a show that has 13 seasons, it's hard to imagine that it has controversies going as far back as Season 2. Back in 2012, Jennifer Esposito, who played the badass detective Jackie Curatola, faced a tough situation. She was battling celiac disease and needed a lighter workload. Makes sense, right? The studio didn't think so, and what's worse is, they decided to suspend her without pay. Talk about a major facepalm moment. Jennifer had no reason to stay silent, and she talked about all the ugliness that went down. She collapsed not once, but twice on set. And what did the studio do? Their useless suggestion was getting a medic, as if that'd magically cure her celiac disease. Seriously, guys, that's like putting a band-aid on a broken bone. Not cool at all. CBS had its version of the story, though. They claimed Jennifer's limited availability didn't match the demands of her role, so they put her character on a leave of absence. But the actress didn't hold back. She took to Twitter and called out the network for not listening to her doctor's advice and for blocking her from working anywhere else. She was vocal about the unfairness she had to face. Talk about bringing the heat. Twitter was the main platform where the show faced this backlash, but their issues in 2014 with the Catholic Church became the news on all the media websites. The Catholic League, diehard defenders of all things Catholic, once hailed Blue Bloods as the holy grail of fair portrayal. They loved Frank Reagan, the no-nonsense police commissioner who was also a devoted churchgoer. But guess what? Things got crazy in 2014. Enter Bill Donahue, the big boss of the Catholic League, who claimed his organization was drowning in a tidal wave of complaints. And what was the fuss all about, you ask? Well, in one episode, Frank dared to suggest that the Catholic Church might be a tad behind the times when it came to LGBTQ+ matters. They even tossed in a cardinal fighting his own sexual identity and an openly lesbian nun. Donahue lost his marbles, accusing CBS of turning their backs on their loyal viewers and committing televisual suicide by attacking Catholics. Talk about a holy uproar. All these problems did make the show creators more careful, but with years, even their caution lessened, and they jumped headfirst back into controversies. They've mostly kept things fictional, avoiding those ripped-from-the-headlines storylines, but eventually, they couldn't resist dipping their toes into the real world. And boy, did things get messy. In Season 12, we meet Angela Reddick, a badass black detective who's all about making a change. She gets this golden opportunity to choose her next assignment and decides to work in the police commissioner's office. You go, girl! But hold up, Commissioner Frank Reagan, played by the legend Tom Selleck, ain't too keen on her ideas for police reforms. So what does he do? He kicks her out. A major facepalm moment. Season 12 was a whirlwind of confusion. Off-screen, Frank speaks about police reforms, but on-screen they show this anti-police hysteria that makes you scratch your head. It's like they're saying, yeah, we need reform, but those who ask for it are a bunch of jerks. It was mixed messages galore. Fast forward to Season 13, and they're still at it. A black cop shoots an unarmed black man during a traffic stop, and the cop walks away without consequences, but the mayor caves under public pressure and decides to reopen the case. Talk about bending to the masses. The show wants us to believe that the cops are always right, while tossing in some "we would have punished him if he was wrong" moments. Give me a break. Let's not forget their take on bail reform. They ain't fans, my friends. They make it clear that bail reform is a big no-no without bothering to explain its purpose. Everyone, even the so-called liberal district attorney, agrees that bail reform is the devil. And surprise, surprise, those who benefit from it turn into murderers. Can we say fear-mongering at its finest? So, my fellow Blue Bloods enthusiasts, we're stuck in a show that wants to have it both ways. They pretend to embrace reform but never fully commit. It's like saying, yeah, we need change, but those who demand it are a bunch of whiners. The writing is cringeworthy, and it's time they step up their game. I stumbled upon a passionate Blue Bloods fan, and they had some serious thoughts to share. According to them, the Reagan family might think they're the epitome of goodness, fighting for justice and equality, but they conveniently ignore the fact that their privileged status shields them from the struggles faced by folks who don't look like them. Ouch! Truth bombs dropped. If only fans had stopped there. But no, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what they think about the story behind the show. While most people can't help but find the Reagans oddly likable, the plot lines and dialogues sometimes feel like they were written by Fox News pundits are on a caffeine high. It's like watching a well-crafted PR campaign for the NYPD served with a side of family drama. And hey, someone's got to pay for all that good publicity, right? The show goes all in on portraying the NYPD and the Catholic Church as these caring, wise institutions which are constantly under attack from haters, politicians, and racists. It's like a never-ending battle against the forces of evil, all neatly packaged into hour-long episodes. But here's the kicker. Many Blue Bloods fans might be blissfully unaware that the good old US of A has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Yikes! Talk about a reality check. The show conveniently glosses over the systemic racism debate, reducing complex issues to easy sound bites. It's like taking a massive problem and boiling it down to a single episode resolution. If only life were that simple, right? We're served a platter of hardworking, do-gooder cops. But what about the stories of those who suffer at the hands of law enforcement? It's time to take off those rose-tinted glasses and demand more from our TV shows. Thankfully, this isn't the only cop show in the market, and fans have plenty of others to turn to every time Blue Bloods lets them down. Forget about those other cop shows out there. I'm looking at you, Blue Bloods, that paint the world in black and white. The Wire, the long-loved show, shakes things up by taking us deep into the gritty underbelly of the drug trade, corrupt unions, school politics, city politics, you name it. It's like a whole universe of complexity, where even the so-called bad guys have layers you wouldn't believe. It's not all family dinners and bad romances like you'd find in Blue Bloods. The Wire keeps it real. These cops have to jump through bureaucratic hoops, chase after warrants, and adapt on the fly to outsmart those clever drug dealers. Some of them are downright abusive, while others couldn't find their way out of a paper bag. But hey, there are a few shining stars who know what they're doing. Talk about a colorful bunch. What sets The Wire apart is that it doesn't just focus on cops and criminals. It's all about the ripple effects on the community. This show ain't afraid to tackle the tough stuff and show us the harsh realities that regular folks face. Other shows exist in a bubble, but this one makes it seem real. Let's hope other cop dramas, side-eye at you Blue Bloods, take a lesson from The Wire's playbook. It's time for more complexity, more diversity, and a whole lot less subtle racism. We deserve shows that challenge our minds and broaden our perspectives. And if The Wire is too old school for you, there's always fresh blood in the market. Chicago PD is part of that epic Chicago Fire universe that's been dominating our TV screens for ages. And let me tell you, it's been one hell of a ride. One of the things that keeps fans hooked is the captivating character of Hank Voight. He's like a magnet for the dark side of justice, constantly pushing those boundaries and blurring the lines between good and bad. It's the kind of stuff that keeps us on the edge of our seats, folks. When we first meet Voight, he's a dirty cop, but wait for it, redemption swoops in like a superhero. It turns out he was just playing pretend, striking a deal with internal affairs. Talk about a plot twist, am I right? This guy is the master of mind games, keeping us guessing whether he's a hero, a villain, or something in between. It's a wild roller coaster that never fails to surprise us. It's like watching a fireworks show on steroids. He's the kind of guy who's ready to do whatever it takes to get the job done, regardless of whether it's on the right side of the law or not. He challenges the system, and we can't help but be both fascinated and slightly terrified by his bold moves. Life ain't always black and white, my friends, and Hank proves that time and time again. He's flawed, just like the rest of us, and the situations he faces are never simple. It's a thrilling dance between right and wrong that keeps us hooked and craving for more. And there's only more of this coming. So, from all the shows that far surpass it, to kicking out cast members for being sick, these were Blue Blood's most controversial moments.